Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now, for years, the Red Bull Junior program has arguably been the most ruthless academy in motorsport. However, it could also easily be argued that it has been the most successful. After all, it spawned talents including Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen, creating champions, but it also crushed the dreams of others. In recent years, though, the once hugely successful program has begun to falter, with promising drivers either stagnating or failing to cut the mustard, as the team has, as a result, had to sign drivers from outside of its ranks, something it was always keen to avoid once its road to F1 was in place. And all of that has led to people asking, what happened to the Red Bull Junior program and has it had its day? Well, long story short, no, it's not had its day, but how did we get to the point where people are questioning one of the most successful driver programs of the century? Starting in 2001, the then named Red Bull European Driver Program had one clear goal: to find the next F1 superstar, nurture them into a top talent, and then eventually find them a seat in the pinnacle of motorsport. In 2004, Christian Klein became the first Red Bull Junior to race in Formula 1 as he joined Mark Webber at Jaguar, a team that would become Red Bull Racing for the 2005 season after the energy drinks company agreed to buy the outfit from Ford for a symbolic $1 in return for a commitment to invest $400 million in the team over 3 seasons. The program's chances of moving its young talent into the sport had improved, but the acquisition of the Minardi outfit to create a Red Bull Junior team known as Toro Rosso gave them even more opportunities from the 2006 season, Vitantonio Liuzzi teaming up with Scott Speed. Once those two teams had been established in the sport, more talent was lined up, and it rapidly became clear that it wasn't just about the potential talent a driver had, it was about results. Deliver them or you are out. Something Scott Speed soon discovered when he was ousted halfway through the 2007 season for one Sebastian Vettel, the program's first major F1 success. Vettel would take the first win for any Red Bull team as he took his Toro Rosso to victory at Monza in 2008 and would then go on to become world champion in 2010 at the age of just 23 and remains the youngest driver to win a title in Formula 1 to this day. That was, of course, his first of 4 back-to-back titles between 2010 and 2013, but Seb wasn't the only success. The academy brought through Daniel Ricciardo, who, while not a world champion, did become a multiple race winner with the main Red Bull team, and of course, Max Verstappen, who has gone on to become a 4-time world champion himself, and the driver with the most wins for the Red Bull team in history. And although he didn't win races for the team, Carlos Sainz could also be added to the list of successes in the wider context of Formula 1, as he has picked up multiple victories elsewhere. Without any doubt, the program was in its glory years at that stage, but for every success story Red Bull's road to F1 offered up, there was a trail of broken careers and shattered dreams. The program has been labelled as ruthless over the years, and that's not an unfair conclusion to draw. The likes of Sebastian Buemi and Jean-Eric Vergne didn't get a shot with the top team, despite delivering solid performances at times, and they were both dropped. They have, though, of course, gone on to have more successful careers in other categories. Jaime Alguersuari was another one who eventually started to deliver good drives, but he was eventually kicked to the curb too. Daniel Kvyat was given the seemingly impossible task at the time of replacing Sebastian Vettel, having spent just 1 season at Toro Rosso, but he was eventually demoted from Red Bull back to the sister team before being dropped, rehired, and then let go again by the junior outfit. Even the likes of Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon, who have gone on to have very good careers and have become solid drivers on the grid, Gasly winning a race for the junior team in 2020, ultimately failed at Red Bull and found themselves out the door after failing to impress when pitted against Max Verstappen at the very top team. Ultimately, the message from advisor Helmut Marko became clear: perform from the off or you'll be out the door at the first opportunity, and in fairness to Red Bull, that approach initially seemed to be working. However, while successful for a while, things began to take a turn, and having spent several years burning through young talent, the pool began to dry up. Promising youngsters, including Jehan Daruvala, Jack Crawford, Jack Doohan, and Dennis Hauger, failed to impress consistently enough to get the call-up. Yuri Vips was very much on the radar to be given a chance, but was dropped after he used unacceptable language during a live stream, and others, including Dan Ticktum, never really got the nod. That left Red Bull needing to look elsewhere for drivers to fill their seats, especially once Daniel Ricciardo left at the end of 2018. Having already turned to Sergio Perez to replace Alex Albon at the main team, a move that initially proved a smart one, the junior team would have to do the same to fill its seats. Yuki Tsunoda, originally part of the Honda Formula Dream project, joined Pierre at AlphaTauri. The Japanese driver was made part of the Red Bull Junior program a couple of years before moving to the sister team, so calling him an outsider wouldn't strictly be true, but he didn't start within the program. However, when Gasly announced he was leaving for Alpine, the team had a big problem. Who would partner Yuki? Surely, if they want to stick with their own talent, it had to be Liam Lawson. Well, no, instead they signed Nick de Vries after he impressed at a one-off appearance at Monza for Williams and scored points, which was enough for Helmut Marko to take a punt on him. However, 10 races into the 2023 season, he was dropped and Daniel Ricciardo returned. Lawson did get his chance to show what he could do as he filled in for the Aussie following his crash at Zandvoort and delivered some solid drives and scored points as well, but he still didn't get the opportunity to race in Formula One full-time. Had we just witnessed the end of the infamous Red Bull Academy? After all, the likes of Ayumu Iwasa, Zayn Maloney and even Isaac Hadjar at that time were seemingly being ignored too in favour of Ricciardo, who was clearly a stopgap whilst the team worked out what to do next. And as it turned out, the decision was taken to keep Ricciardo for 2024, but that changed again as he was dropped with a handful of races remaining, Lawson taking his seat. The Kiwi eventually getting the call up to the main Red Bull team for 2025, but was then demoted to the sister team after just 2 races, and Yuki Tsunoda was finally given his promotion. So that's a brief-ish history of what's gone on over the last few years at Red Bull, but what went wrong, and is there still hope for the programme to start producing top F1 talent again? Well, the what went wrong part is relatively easy to answer. Whilst the ruthless approach did help to separate the wheat from the chaff, it chewed through far too many drivers too quickly, which in turn meant younger up-and-coming talent was given less time to develop before being thrust into the limelight. Cutting drivers adrift too early also meant they themselves had no time to really find their feet, and the programme found itself in somewhat of a vicious cycle. It is important to note that not every driver has the talent and potential of a Sebastian Vettel or a Max Verstappen, but the likes of Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon have gone on to perform extremely well elsewhere and have carved out solid careers in the sport, likely sealing their place on the grid for years to come. And perhaps that quest to find the next Verstappen or Vettel resulted in expectations being too high, rather than looking at the good the drivers were doing and had the potential to achieve. What I mean by that is by looking for the next Vettel or Verstappen, did that cause them to stop looking for the next Carlos Sainz? They wanted perfection rather than good or very good drivers. Then again, the counter-argument could be, would the likes of Gasly, Sainz and co have progressed as well as they have if they stay where they were? Perhaps not, because as we've seen of late with that second car at Red Bull, it's not the easiest place to deliver consistently. Verstappen's dominance may also be a factor. After all, when he was winning every weekend, where was the urgency to find a successor? If he's winning, he's happy and will surely stay on, but with that dominance coming to an end and the constant talk of an exit looming, Red Bull has left themselves massively exposed. And is there hope for the Red Bull Junior program, or has it had its time? Well, as I said at the start, no, it hasn't had its time, and there is a lot of talent, albeit raw, still out there waiting for the opportunity. Isaac Hadjar is having an excellent first season in F1 and is the favourite to partner Max Verstappen next season at the main team, and Liam Lawson may also get another shot given his upturning results and performances of late. But behind them, there are the likes of Pepe Marti, who is having a decent season in F2, youngsters Tim Tramnitz and Nicholas Solov, who also look to have potential, and of course, another driver on for a promotion in the not-too-distant future is Arvid Lindblad, who, whilst quick, is making a lot of mistakes in F2 and still seems a little way off being ready for F1. But there is talent out there, and there is even talk of McLaren's Alex Dunn impressing Helmut Marko, so perhaps Red Bull will try to poach him, we'll see on that one. But there is no doubt that Red Bull still has the resources to keep the programme bringing drivers through, and as touched on there is some solid potential talent looking to make the breakthrough, but it's not quite ready yet. And if Red Bull don't change their habit of burning through drivers in the way they have in the past, they may well find that they lose some of that talent to rivals or even see it go to waste altogether. And to wrap this up, although the Red Bull Junior program is far from dead, things need to change, and repeating the caveat that not everyone is a Vettel or Verstappen, it's certainly not what it used to be. What was once one of the most revered academies for its ability to find some incredible drivers and give them their chance in F1 could just be collapsing under its own pressure. That is it for this one then, but what do you think? Do you believe the Red Bull Junior program is broken, or do you perhaps feel it's just going through a transitional phase and is simply evolving? You can let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and on your way down there, please do leave a like on the video and don't forget to subscribe as well so you don't miss any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.